This episode is brought to you by Kraken Pro. With all new trading features and a fully customizable interface, it's Kraken's most powerful crypto trading platform, well, ever. Head to pro.kraken.com and trade like a pro. Cryptocurrencies are unregulated in the UK. Profits may be subject to capital gains tax, and the value of cryptocurrencies can go down or up.
Hello and welcome to Audiobook Connection, behind the scenes with the creative teams. I'm Becky Parker Geist, and I'm your host. Audiobook Connection is your place to learn about the audiobook creative process, and for authors to learn valuable tips on producing and marketing your audiobooks. This podcast is sponsored by Pro Audio Voices, helping great stories come alive through audiobook production and marketing. Hello, and thank you for being with me. Right off the bat, I'm going to give you a link to a workshop that is happening this coming Saturday, June 17th, and that's from 10 to 12 Pacific time, and I'm going to be doing a workshop on audiobook distribution and marketing, some really hands-on key things that you can do to help move your audiobook marketing forward. The link to learn more and register for that event, you can go to bit.ly, that's bit.ly/BAIPA, that's spelled B as in boy, AIPA, hyphen, workshop, hyphen, audio. BAIPA stands for Bay Area Independent Publishers Association. I'm the president of that organization. It is a wonderful group, about 200 members strong, and a very active and interactive group of wonderful authors and publishers who are really engaged in learning about the indie publishing world and how to best succeed in that realm. The workshop for non-members, there is a cost for both members of BAIPA and non-members. You can actually become a member of BAIPA for just $10 a month. It is a terrific value, and then you can access the workshop for just $25 above that cost. For non-members, it's $40. So just wanted to let you know that up front. And then we're going to dive next into some of the kinds of things that I'm going to be covering during that workshop, but in a lot more detail. Let's go ahead and get started. The first thing you'll want to know, and is really extremely important and valuable, and just launching, we've been making a lot of noise about it because it is an industry-changing event. Or maybe event is the wrong word, because it's a change in our industry that we are implementing as Pro Audio Voices, and we feel it's something that the industry has needed for a long time, and since it has fallen to us to take this step and move this process forward, we are launching the Amplify Audiobooks platform. This is an author direct sale platform that both helps give authors much higher royalties, but also much more control, and that is extremely valuable. It also gives authors access to their customer information so they can reach out to their customers and follow up. We are all about building community and having impact, and that is a part of why this platform is so important. So the Amplify Audiobooks platform is currently live on our website, and a direct link, if you're not already signed up with Amplify, the direct link to learn more or to sign up for authors, you can go to bit.ly/audiobooksdirect. There's no hyphens in there. That is a direct link to the page that will tell you more about what Amplify is, what we're trying to accomplish, and why we think it's so important. Now, regarding the workshop this coming Saturday, you're going to get the greatest value from that if you are already signed up as an author with Amplify. The reason is because the tools that we have available through Amplify are much more robust. In fact, it's one of the few places where they're actually present. I think it's the only place where they're actually present. In other words, to be able to create your own coupon codes, for example, is something that is not generally available on any retail platforms. So we'll be able to go through both the details of how that works and how to set it up and actually doing some hands-on work, making that happen. But we're also going to talk about things like strategies around your coupon codes and, what the details of those are, why they matter, how to utilize them, how to make decisions around what your coupon is called and how you set it up. We'll also cover things like pricing strategies. Now, I have in the past done at least one episode here on Audiobook Connection about pricing strategies, and the landscape keeps changing. So we always want to be looking at that information again. And I'm going to go a little bit deeper here on this podcast to talk about pricing strategies. And then we'll move on to what some of the other things I'll cover in the workshop. One of the things about Amplify that is specific to this pricing strategy conversation is that with Amplify, you can immediately change your price, change it back, set up promotional pricing. All of that is available to you. And so as you're making your decisions around what you're going to charge for your audiobook, what those prices will be, it helps to be able to have a platform where you can change them instantly, and those will go live instantly, and to have some ideas on why you might change your pricing at any given time. So let's start off with, what is your usual typical retail price? That's usually one of the questions that you'll have to answer if you're submitting through any platform aside from ACX, where they don't give you that option at all. You don't even have any input. But in places like on Authors Republic, for example, you will have the option to suggest a manufacturer's price, so an MSRP. And most often, most retailers will actually pick up that information and use it. It's a part of your metadata, and they will, most retailers will follow your recommendation. They are not required to. It is called a suggested retail price for a reason, and that is because retailers always retain the right to sell your product for whatever they choose. It's actually one of the big drawbacks with platforms like ACX or Audible, I should say, because Audible will sometimes choose to give your book away as a teaser so that they can get subscription money and won't pay you anything. So retailers, again, they retain those rights, and when you submit your audiobook to them, you are agreeing to those terms. With Amplify, you, as a direct sale option, you have the opportunity, if you want to give your book away for free, and some people do. Organizations, for example, like Parkinson's Foundation, they would like to give their audiobooks away. And so they can set the price at $0, and that's fine. There are others also who may want to use it as a lead magnet and use our distribution as the way for their listeners to access the audiobooks that they're creating. Again, totally fine, up to you. Most authors, of course, are wanting to earn some royalties from the sales of their audiobooks. And this is a very common, extremely common question that we get as audiobook producers, and that is, how much should I sell my audiobook for? First, you should know that audiobooks, as a general rule, as sort of an industry standard, are priced according to their finished length. When I say finished length, I just mean the length of your audiobook once it's all done. And that is to differentiate it from either how long it took to record it or what the raw initial audio recording was. We're talking about the audiobook is done. Its length is its finished length. That may include bonus material that you have added in. It will include opening and closing credits, So it's the entire product altogether. You can go onto the acx.com website and see what Audible tends to price audiobooks at based on the length of the audiobooks. That is one place where there is a kind of model set up, and you may want to look at that as a starting place. However, there may be components or aspects to your audiobook that really don't fit anywhere. There are not any other criteria that are looked at when Audible is using that model for pricing. So let's say, for example, you may have a book that is fully produced with music and sound effects and full cast, and it's, not only did it take a lot of money to produce it and time and energy to produce it, but it's also then increases the value of that audiobook. They don't factor any of that in, but you may want to. So we now have two criteria that we've identified as potentially factoring into your audiobook decision: the finished length and the value in terms of any special features that are particular to your audiobook. Another potential factor that could play in if your audiobook has this, and that is if you have any celebrity voices that have participated in the production of your audiobook. If that's the case, it may be that you would like to increase the price a little bit because you will have that additional celebrity appeal for your listeners. On the other hand, you might not want that to play in even if you do have a celebrity voice, and you may just want to use that as a part of your marketing that will then help generate more sales through your Amplify platform, ideally. And then you'll just use that as a marketing bonus, but not necessarily as a part of your pricing strategy. Another thing you'll want to consider is about being able to have room to discount your price and still feel happy about whatever you would get in royalties. Now, with Amplify, you're going to be earning a straight 65% of the gross that you choose to sell it for. That is way, way, way higher than you're going to get from any other retail platform, especially Audible. So what that means then is if you want to, that it's much easier, first of all, to figure out how much you'll earn from each sale. And then knowing what that your sort of minimum is that you'll feel comfortable with, you can increase your standard pricing that will then give you room to discount the price for special things, special moments, special events, current events that tie in, whatever you want to do in terms of promotional pricing. You'll have a starting point that's a little bit higher. Why do we do this? Because we all love a deal. We all love sales. Even if we know that that is the technique that is being used on us, we still have this emotional response to a great deal, a discounted price. So it's something to factor in when you're thinking about what your regular sales price will be, leaving room for discounts. Another thought about something you may want to consider is knowing that most audiobook retailers charge about $15 a month for an audiobook credit, where someone would get one title for that credit, typically, then that's something to be aware of, especially if what you're trying to do is to redirect traffic from Audible to, or one of the other platforms, to your Amplify page, where you're going to earn a lot more. Knowing that somebody could go to Audible, if they're a subscriber, they're already going to have a credit, and then they can get your book for like about $15. You may want to consider that as a part of your strategy on Amplify. If it costs a little less than that, then your listeners are getting a good deal, or a better deal than if they were to buy it on Audible. So if you're not so much worried about trying to compete with a subscription model, and there are several out there, but they're all kind of in that range, then this may not be an issue. But it's something to factor in your thinking, and depending on how you're running your marketing, if you're trying to pull people away from those other retail places, educate them a little bit about why it's so important to get your book through Amplify, then you may want to incorporate that pricing strategy, considering what people are paying for a regular monthly subscription credit. And one other potential factor you might want to consider when you're creating your pricing are the particular numbers that are being used in your price. So, for example, many times, you can go on Google and find out what the trend is, or you can just look around and see how prices are typically shown. For a while, it was ending in 95 cents, or ending in 97 cents, or 98 cents, or 99 cents. There are trends that will help indicate what is currently working for retailers in terms of the number of cents after the decimal point. But there's another way you also might be interested in, and that is doing something that has a catchy look to it. For example, when I do a promotional pricing for my novel, the audiobook, I will typically price it at $11.11. And in fact, since it is June, Audiobooks Appreciation Month, that is in fact what my promotional pricing is right now. So you can go to the Amplify store on proaudiovoices.com, and you can find The Left Turn, which is my novel, at $11.11. You will notice that the regular price is crossed out. So the reason why I chose $11.11 has to do with the content of my book. And there's some magical realism. There's a little bit of numerology sort of mashed in there. So you may have other, things like that are specific to your book, whether it's something about the title. If your title is 2020 something, then maybe having your price be $20.20 would be kind of cool, because people would notice it, and there's a kind of fun, a kind of gamifying of your price in that way. For most people, that may not be a factor or something that they want to consider, but I wanted to throw it out there as something that for some people is, maybe helpful. Let's take a short pause, and then we're going to come back and talk about some other things that will be coming up in the workshop, the audiobook workshop, on Saturday, June 17th, 2023. We'll be right back.
Frustrated by the royalty rates for your audiobook? Annoyed that when the digital distributors say 70%, they actually mean 70% of 50% or 80% of 70%, neither of which is an actual 70%. Wishing there was a way to cut out or at least shrink the middleman. Yet, you want your audiobook listeners to have a smooth and positive experience, and a direct download sale from your website won't deliver that. Pro Audio Voices hears you. Out of our commitment to our author clients, we've created Amplify, a program that provides an actual 65% royalties of the price you set, that gives you access to your customers' names and emails so you can reconnect with them, and keeps you in the driver's seat. Check it out at proaudiovoices.com in the marketing menu.
Okay, and just a reminder as to where to find information about the Amplify platform for authors. You can go to bit.ly/audiobooksdirect. And for the upcoming workshop on Saturday, June 17th, 2023, from 10 a.m. till noon Pacific time. You can go to bit.ly, that's bit.ly/BAPA. BAPA stands for Bay Area Independent Publishers Association, but it's just BAIPA workshop audio. Okay, let's jump back into it. One of the things that we'll be talking about will be how to use coupons. So these are discount codes. Remember that every audiobook has a narrator, for example, and most authors have some team that they've been working with for the print and ebook process. Even indie authors, typically we have some help, whether they're editors or book shepherds or ebook converters. Lots of people usually participate as a part of the team. For many audiobook authors, you're going to have an audiobook producer as well as a narrator. So you want to factor in that these are all people who really care about your success. And these would be a great initial team to send out a coupon code to and invite them to hear your audiobook at a discount. And while some of them may have heard the entire book or read the entire book, most of them will have been participating in some part of the process, but will not have heard the audiobook as a fully recorded and finished product. And so the likelihood that they will join in and participate and use that coupon code and get your audiobook is high, especially if you give them a really good deal. Remember, on Amplify, when you give a good deal, you're still getting 65% of the gross of that sale. You can also use discount codes in other ways. For example, you can run a contest on social media. You can do an event where you offer the code to the event participants. And when you create those codes, you can, regardless of whether it's the same deal for one group or another, you can create different codes to really customize those and make it look like it is specifically for your group. And then also you get to see and more easily track where the customers came from that are using those codes. That can be really valuable information to help you understand best what's working and what's not. And once you start seeing that something you're doing is working, then obviously you want to keep doing more of that. It will really help guide your marketing plan. Similar to the use of coupon codes, but a little different, is creating promotional pricing. When you do a promotional pricing, you're basically setting a schedule, and during that time frame, your audiobook will be at a discount at whatever price you choose to set. You'll then want to market that information, spread the word about that information. You can send that to your email list. Hopefully you have one of those because that's important. And if you don't, it's okay. Everyone starts at some point. So this may be your moment to start that email list. Send out information, letting people know about the discount, encouraging them to help you spread the word, especially for those people who are kind of already on your team. And we're talking about your print and ebook team, your audiobook production team, your narrators, whoever you've been working with in the process. And then, of course, getting the word out on social media. And I just want to reiterate what all the social media marketers do, again and again, is that when we're on social media, we do not want it to be all about pushing sales. We need to be engaging. We need to be responding to other people's information, really trying to build community online. And I have certainly seen how connections are made online that then grow into like local getting together, good friendships. The whole idea initially behind social media, my understanding, is that it's about being able to build connections, build community. And so we need to treat it in that way. But since I'm focused in this podcast on ways in which we can use the tools that we have for distribution and marketing with our audiobooks, that's why I'm reiterating and saying we can use social media. We do want to let our community on social media know when we are running a promotion and asking for their help. They may not be your target market, or they may have already purchased your audiobook. So just keep that in mind as you're getting the word out and asking them to help out in specific ways. And then I'm just going to cover one more topic for this podcast episode, and that is about website buttons. Make sure that your audiobook is showing as a button place to go, with the link should be taking them to your Amplify page. And I encourage you either on the button text itself or near the button, provide a little bit of education about why they should buy it on Amplify. It could be as simple as it helps me the most. It could be a little more detailed information about what the standard typical retail experience is compared to Amplify in terms of both the royalties and control. But do something that is going to say, please buy it here. And then also let them know that if they're a subscriber somewhere else, it is available, if it is. So I know that it might not be. So, share correct information, obviously. But if it is available on Audible, for example, you'll probably want to let people know that it's also available there. But if they're not subscribers on Audible, please buy it here. If you have priced it lower than what Audible is selling it for, you can make that as a point, that they can get it for less if they get it through you. One of the things I'll just say about buttons on your website, and this is something I've learned from our wonderful web marketing strategist, Todd Walker, and that is about when you have buttons on your website and there are more than one. So those are calls to action, right? You want people to click on those buttons. Make sure it's really clear to your listeners or to your website visitors which button you would most like them to push. And then, so for example, if you're earning the most from your audiobook sales, then you'll probably want that to be first and biggest. And maybe the color is going to be a little different. Maybe it's a little brighter. And then you can still have the other options for print and ebook that are still on that page, still very visible and available for your web visitors. But you're making it clear by just the way you're setting up that call to action what your preference is in terms of the way that they buy or the format that they buy. Okay, I am going to wrap up this episode now and encourage you, if you can, attend the workshop about audiobook distribution and marketing on June 17th. Please join us. It would be really great. And the information one more time is bit.ly/BEPA-workshop-audio. If you have questions about audiobooks or about this podcast or anything that I'm talking about, please reach out to us. I love hearing from our followers and being able to help wherever I can. We're at proaudiovoices.com. We'll see you there. Thanks for joining us for Audiobook Connection, behind the scenes with the creative teams. Please take a moment to subscribe at audiobookconnection.com. The podcast is sponsored by Pro Audio Voices, helping great stories come alive through audiobook production and marketing. Learn more at proaudiovoices.com. Again, thanks for being with us, and please join us next week.
This This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.